Okay, hello everyone. Happy to bring you Ken Schwartz, Head of Growth and Innovation from Covestro. Ken and I talk about a lot of TPU films. Well, first he gives the Covestro overview, but then thermoplastic polyurethane TPU films, all about TPU films, developments and the development work that's been going on, primary applications, a lot of the partner collaboration that's advancing demonstrators and characterizing performance of TPU. We talk about sustainability and future trends. So without further ado, bringing you Ken from Covestro. Thanks, everyone. Well, hello, everyone. Welcome to the next episode of the podcast. And really excited to have Ken Schwartz on. Ken's official title, Head of Growth and Innovation. Big title, Ken. Love that title. And just having Ken on from Covestro, excited because we're going to talk a lot of things TPU. So, Ken, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you, Steve. Good to
Okay.
be here.
So, yeah, of course. And I guess the softball question, if you could please introduce yourself and your role at Covestro, and then
Sure.
and we'll talk more about Covestro. So,
Yeah. Thanks. You mentioned that the title. I think it says what I do. I'm responsible for developing new business through either new products or new applications, um, um, and they're based on one of our two primary polymers, which are polycarbonate and thermoplastic polyurethane.
yeah, and it's good too because I feel like we've been collaborating a lot with you guys lately. And last week I was at Medica in Dusseldorf and was able to see not one but two Covestro booths, which kind of threw me off a little bit because I saw you guys in one booth, and then and they're like, oh well, you got to make sure you go to the other one too. I'm like, oh, there's another one. So I was able to check out both of your booths, and so pretty strong presence at the Medica show in Dusseldorf, and I've enjoyed getting to know a lot about what you guys have been up to. So,
Great.
do you want to go into any other history or brief history, evolution, or any other related to how on the TPU film business? Maybe just how have you evolved to be where you are now
Yeah.
in your leadership with TPU?
No, it's a great question, and so you were just in Medica, so I mean you certainly were a German-based company. We were part of Bayer until 2015, and now we're an independent entity. So and I think turning back the clock, I mean Covestro Bayer developed polyurethane in the 30s, so we're the inventor of polyurethane. That led to the invention of thermoplastic polyurethane sometime later. So we still have some of that innovative DNA. As far as films are concerned, I think the way that Covestro viewed it, or the way that Bayer viewed it back in the day, was there were people making films and to start in the 70s, and they said, hey, we want to kind of get further into the value chain. How can we bring more to the market and grow the application space? So they acquired business in Europe and one in North America, and that really became kind of the birth of at least part of the specialty films business that is now global.
And the polyurethane, but then thermoplastic polyurethane. So how did polyurethane evolve into thermoplastic polyurethane?
Yeah,
And like what's different about the two in terms of
yeah.
unique properties?
Great question. Yeah, so like I said, polyurethane came along in the 30s, and maybe 20 years later, the invention of thermoplastic polyurethane came. And what's so cool about thermoplastic polyurethane, we'll call it TPU from now on, it's less
Yeah.
syllables. It combines the elasticity of rubber with exceptional durability. So you get sort of some of the benefits of thermoplastics, so durability, strength, temperature resistance. And because it's a thermoplastic, it can be melt processed. So, we form it into film in a continuous rolls that we can make as thin as 1 mil thick or as thick as a 16th of an inch thick. So you really got to get the best of these both worlds of rubber and plastic with TPU.
And of course it's like perfect timing when, especially being at Medica, and we were there showcasing at the Wearable Technologies Pavilion for, there's nothing more conformal than the human body, right? So the in the context of, printed stretchable electronics, I mean, there's a lot of exciting stuff in that you guys are working on recent developments with TPU. So is there, I mean, I guess I know we're going to go into more detail as we go, but I mean, at a high level, what have you guys been exploring in terms of innovation
Sure.
on this TPU?
Yeah. So the specialty films business has a range of products that we're targeting at the printed flexible electronics market, or sometimes we like to call it the stretchable printed electronics market. And so thermoplastic polyurethanes are available in a range of chemistries, which offer different properties depending on the application requirements. So we have different chemistries, different thicknesses, different carrier options. So we've got this sort of fundamental portfolio of products targeted at the printed electronics market, and we're not stopping there. I mean, we sort of have active development efforts going on too.
Yeah, I was looking at your Platalon, which nice marketing, by the way. Like I just feel like
Thank you. Yeah. Yeah.
the website looks like it's pretty well refreshed and then really easy to navigate, but just looking at all the different markets and possible applications, like that's pretty good. But of all these things TPU could do, like what do you think are really the primary applications that you guys are focused on or excited about?
Yeah. So I mentioned the versatility of TPU earlier, based on sort of the general fundamental chemistry. Um, I mean, other than printed flexible electronics, I mean, it's found in all different types of applications: inflatables like life rafts, medical devices, bulletproof glazing, advanced wound dressings. It spans a wide range of applications based on all these different characteristics we can build into it. And so we've been kind of building on the expertise for all these different applications for a long time. And we see this intersection with some of the developments in printed circuitry and this adoption of kind of personal devices for well-being or medical devices. And we really think we could take advantage of some of the key characteristics of TPU films with those. I mean, we've been active in electronics for a while with both polycarbonate and TPU. So materials can be used as, an insulator for membrane touch switches, or, a substrate for that. We sell TPU into automotive seat heaters. So we're comfortable in the electronic space. What's new is sort of putting the circuits onto TPU. And in the medical space, because it's all kind of fits together, the specialty films business has been really successful in advanced wound care. And that takes advantage of both the elasticity, adhesive anchorage capability, and breathability of films. So we're really comfortable with like skin contact applications for wound care and medical devices and sensors. So it really fits well into some of the wearable applications we see evolving for printed electronics. And we have this portfolio designed specifically for printing conductive inks that can fit a bunch of different application areas.
Yep. And in all those different application areas, and of course, with this podcast kind of focusing the design engineer, someone who's looking to specify or create a design specification, there's so many different applications. That means there's also so many different demands or needs or people calling you up and, hey, can you do this? Or, hey, can you do that? Dare I say mass customization, but I mean, we'll see. I mean, I feel like there's a lot in people's R&D bins right now on wearable healthcare, and TPU is a substrate that is very much front and center. So how are you kind of approaching all of these, I don't know, questions from a lot of different angles
Yeah.
about what people can do or different asks on the material itself?
It's a great question. One of the things that differentiates our capabilities is our ability to make multi-layer films. So we have the ability to produce up to 5 different layers in a film, and it can create almost an unlimited range of characteristics depending on what we can put different polymers together. We can put dissimilar polymers together with tie layers. We can make different textures and different colors. So it really enables us to be a mass customizer. I mean, manufacturing doesn't always love that, but I think when we promote our multi-layer products in general, we don't like to go in with a product. We like to go in and identify a problem that we're trying to solve. So our base portfolio now is, hey, these are some examples of products we've made before. But frankly, we remain open based on the challenge that a customer might put in front of us.
Yeah, there's always that kind of yin and yang of just pushing all the things that you can do versus
Yeah,
taking a step back and like trying to solve it instead of being a solution, looking for a problem, trying to find the problem. I mean,
exactly.
there's a lot to say, I guess, with the whole Steve Jobs, people don't know what they want till you show them, like
Yeah,
when I was at Medica, I noticed, several demonstrators, in your booths. You had the booth, but right at your booth, you actually had some demonstrators with some joint partners and different collaborators. So clearly, you're not doing this alone. You're not demonstrating the functionality alone. So can you speak to, I guess, how are you collaborating in the ecosystem to kind of not just
Yeah,
show what your capabilities are in TPU customization and all of your skills in those 5 layers you spoke about, but
sure.
also some of the other value add that can go into the end use solution?
Yeah. And, as a technology company, for a 150-year-old technology company, not just the company I work for, but companies in general, they often think they know exactly what the market wants, and they'd be happy to make it and have you buy it. I think this is a good example where we really need to get to work with the market. This is the cornerstone of this particular project, of this flexible electronics project. So we are extremely active and very transparent about it, with working with all parts of the value chain, ink suppliers, contract manufacturers, fabricators like yourself, laminators, textile companies. We're trying to pull in as many different voices as we can, and it's an iterative process, and it's broad based. We don't have, it's not a one size fits all. We need to sample things, try them, and I think that's the quickest way to success. I don't want to say it's open innovation, but that's what it feels like. It feels like we've got some solutions, we understand the problems, and we need some open-minded partners. So, we're working with TapeCon as an example in some of those where we're talking to OEMs together. We have demos together. There was a TechBlick show. We didn't exhibit, but our product and our brand was at 3 different tabletops there. I mean, that's the way we feel like we need to get to the market. That's the only way we feel like we're going to be successful, is really a really close relationship with partners.
Yeah, I was just thinking about how when we were at Medica, and we're in this wearables technology pavilion, and we're there, but there's also some competitive companies that have some similar capabilities as us, and a lot of suppliers and whatnot. And there was a question about like, oh, we could have all had our own individual booths scattered throughout the trade show, but
Yeah.
we had all consciously chosen to be under this kind of pavilion of wearables. But it put us all like really close together, right? So
Right.
you're all like really like shoulder to shoulder, it feels. But thinking about that, it really is kind of a rising tide raises all ships type mindset. Because if you're Joe Blow walking the show, you want to commercialize a wearable, and you're not really sure. And to see us all maybe like divided, saying
Yeah.
similar,
Yeah.
saying small stories and a
Yeah.
small S story
Yeah.
versus kind of like capital S story, I have to imagine that people coming in and now seeing it's now a feeling of an ecosystem, it's a
I hope
feeling
so.
of absolutely a
Yeah.
feeling
Yeah.
of all of these demonstrators and collaborations. And I have to imagine it's going to help everybody because there's going to be confidence in the adoption of the technologies, versus alternative technologies. So
I
not, that's not
just
really a
built.
question, I guess. That's not really a
No,
question.
I
I guess I'm just
just building on
commenting.
it.
Yeah.
We just issued a press release last month on one of these collaborations. You know, ink supplier, fabricator. So we really pulled in and dropped a lot of names in one press release because we feel that's the only way to really get there. And just this month, I just saw it yesterday. There's an article in Medical Design Briefs that was another one. So to me, I think that's what we hope to do. We hope to sort of kind of go on this journey together with partners. Otherwise, we can't do it ourselves.
Yeah. Shifting gears, I guess, to kind of like the challenges, there's also challenges to overcome.
Yeah,
What do you think are some of those challenges, um, that you're dealing with, and then I had a secondary question about kind of sustainability. There's a lot of
yeah,
talk about, hey, all this wearable health sounds great, but not if you're producing e-waste all over the place. So just curious to know how your organization is thinking about that, what you guys have been working on to kind of take those challenges head on.
sure. I can answer both of those. So challenges wise, in my role, I think we always face these things when we're kind of new products and new space, and we need to demonstrate long-term durability. We need to both build confidence at design engineers. Stretching is cool. I mean, to be able to take a heater on a piece of fabric like this and me be able to stretch a TPU, and that's cool. But the ink resistivity can't change, and so that's something that we need to really put enough performance data in front of engineers to make them feel comfortable to be one of the first ones to get a product out into the market. So, I think, generating data, I mean, the order of operation is kind of putting demonstrators out so people can get inspired, and generating data that can make them feel comfortable. I think that's really what we need to do, to get traction. Um,
Yeah.
as far as sustainability, it's a great question. The way we see it is flexible electronics contribute to reducing carbon footprint by making things smaller, lighter, less material, less energy to manufacture, less waste. Because you've got these kind of small printing processes as opposed to PCB manufacturing methods, and I'm not an expert in that, but that should result in some reduction in hazardous materials and waste, lower transportation emissions, hopefully more energy efficient devices. So I think that there's probably a lot to say based on the fundamental size of the devices. More specifically, Covestro really is sustainability focused. I mean, we really they're walking the talk about getting fully circular. And when I think about distilling that just into what we do in our little plant in Massachusetts, we just earned ISCC certification. That's International Sustainability and Carbon Certification. It's a system where feedstocks to make our products are kind of certified either bio or waste based. So we're really proud of that, and we're looking forward to translating that into products, because it's not a easy task. So there's a couple layers of that, and there's some examples.
Yeah, and I certainly want to learn more about ISCC because that's the first I've heard of that one. But I mean, of course, the as someone who's involved in flexible hybrid electronics, we're obviously using additive print processes, and a project that we just did printing on like a paper-based electrode, but there was a life cycle assessment done
Right.
between additive flexible hybrid electronic kind of additive print compared to, I'll say, the subtractive methods of a copper etched flex circuit or a rigid PCB that's on an FR4 board, but all these PCBAs. And I think it was, don't have the stats right in front of me. But it was like 50 to 80% more sustainable in
Right.
that, they looked at the various manufacturing methods and the impacts on the environment. And so even though there's not maybe a full solution of like, recycling, or things aren't they're not compostable, we're not talking about things
Right.
like that, but certainly when you compare to how electronics are produced today to where they could be produced tomorrow, it's a good shift and it's a good direction. So, and I think there's plenty of people that aren't going to put their eye off that prize of ongoing sustainability. So appreciate that. Kind of moving into, I guess, longer term goals. Like, I'm just curious, you obviously are in charge of setting the roadmap here for the
Yeah.
TPU line. I mean, you guys are working on stuff today, but what about tomorrow? What do you kind of see on the horizon
Yeah.
for TPU film development?
Yeah. Well, you know, big picture, we think this could be a whole new segment of our films business. I mean, we look at market segments and we play in a pretty diverse bunch of segments. So, I mean, it overlaps into all of our traditional segments. It could go in cars, it could go in healthcare. So, it really could be a whole new business for us. I think I mentioned earlier the things that we're doing to get there are, demonstrators. We need to really do performance characterization, drive adoption, one application at a time. Something that TapeCon's even been part of is we've been doing this new product blueprinting exercise, which is a way to look at unmet market needs. Because even though we have a portfolio of products today, we can't stop there. It's not. I'm sure what we have and what else is available on the market is not perfect. So identifying these unmet needs is really of primary priority for us, because as we're out there promoting the products that we have and characterizing the products we have, we're working on the next generation, because we know that improvements are still needed.
Yeah, and technology is moving so fast. I certainly appreciate the approach you're taking on the new product blueprinting and it's like the iterations of that happening more frequently too, because just the technologies are changing so fast. So
Yeah.
certainly appreciate that. Any other, I guess, trends or future insights that you want to share with anybody? Anything that's kind of like on the horizon, maybe some upcoming projects or innovations or things outside of TPU that you're kind of excited about?
Yeah, I mean we're actively preparing for MD&M West now, and then usually what that entails is we'll route a new demonstrator, and so we have a new demonstrator which is a shoe insole sensor made from TPU film with devices mounted on it. So we think that'll be a little different. I mean, these types of products are out there, but generally not as soft and conformable as TPU can offer. So we have that out there. I also mentioned we just there was an article that just came out in November of this year on in medical design briefs and called "How Printed Electronics Are Transforming Healthcare." That sort of talks about a new application for a sensor. So I think those kind of things we're excited about that. And look, we're working on a lot of different projects that we think are long term. And I think about just the evolution of continuous glucose monitoring and what that was in the past and what it is now, and maybe what it could be in the future. I mean, those kind of things excite us. And I'm not saying that you'll wear a TPU patch in the future, but maybe you will. I don't know.
Yeah, well, certainly a lot of problems out there to solve and a lot of ways that a lot of things that could be done more effectively and efficiently. So, and I'll tell you that the traffic at Medica was crazy. I mean,
That's
I've
great
never
to
been to
hear.
a trade show at that size and scale. I mean, it was just unbelievable to see, the world converge on some of these life sciences technologies. So that's all I got, Ken. I mean, any kind of final thoughts? Any other thing is there a question maybe I should have asked that I didn't ask or something that you're
No,
kind of like, oh man, I really wanted to say more of that, or now's your chance.
no, we covered a lot of ground today. I mean, look, this is a broad emerging space. I think the message I'd like to leave viewers with is there's a lot of enablers to make TPU work. When I walked MD&M, I don't know, maybe right after the pandemic, so maybe it was 3 or 4 years ago, and was talking to people about this kind of project. People would look me in the eye and says it's PET and that's it. If it's not PET, it'll never work. And I think what people need to realize is there's enabling technologies out there to deposit devices onto TPU, to print circuits onto TPU. There are designs that work. We've seen it, and we know we need to continue to work to prove it. People need to remain open-minded. And again, we look forward to sort of working with those people.
Yeah, well, likewise. And good final word. Thanks, Ken. I really appreciate you being on. I'm sure everyone's going to appreciate the content. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Steve.